I'm sitting here waiting on my credits. If you coming in, I'm waiting for my credits to finish. Like this is a Marvel movie. Like I'm expecting a cut scene to pop up. But hey y'all, it's late, 1 in the AM Eastern Standard Time, and just finished The Handmaid's Tale, season 4, episode 10, The Wilderness. And spoilers, if you are coming in to the room, we are going to talk about the show. And I want to know in the chat what you thought about the show. Were you surprised? Are you in shock? Were you unsatisfied by any of the storylines? Let's just quickly talk about it. Yeah, I will say I am all of those things. I am all of those things. Um, I am both satisfied that she got revenge on Fred because let's face it, like honestly, if we sit here and we go through all the scenarios in which the show ends and June does not receive some modicum of justice, like if the show ends and they're unable to bring down the Gilead government, June needs to get some closure. And so it's kind of nice that we got a modicum of that for this season in the form of Fred, because we don't know if they're going to be able to do that. And we don't even know if they're going to want to do that. Like if the show ends, let's say there's, rumors, it hasn't been concretely said that season 5 is going to be it, but there are rumors that season 5 is going to be it. And if season 5 is it, um, they could opt to do some spin-offs. They could opt to do the testaments, um, which I have not read. Forgive me, Margaret Atwood. I have not read it. I've read a lot of your poetry though, if that makes up for me not reading the testaments. Um, so it's nice that we got that closure. Um, and I definitely understand. Like, I don't think there's a world in which knowing that her rapist was going to get off scot free and was treated as well as he was in Canada, that she was going to be okay with that. Like, there wasn't a world. Like, even her saying if she was a good mother, she'd be okay with it. But no, like, it's there would have been no sense of justice, right? So, in terms of storytelling. So, I'm glad that I kind of was waiting for it to be like a bomb or something like really explosive to happen in terms of that, like not in the brutal way that it happened, but it was poetic in the sense that she shared that with the other women who wanted to get revenge as well. So I liked that it showed like this system of women kind of working together to get revenge. It is a shame that she can't share that with Moira. Um, and that we didn't see Moira there, but it's nice that she was able to share that with Emily. And it is a shame that Luke can't really understand where she's coming from. Like, I don't think there's levels. It's not, abuse victims, over like one abuse over the other. But I don't think that he really has considered that this wasn't like a one off. This wasn't a one time kind of situation. Like she was raped repeatedly. So even as he's looking at her at the end with that disappointment and this that like defeat, it's you just never felt like he really understood and was able to like kind of express full support for her range of emotions, right? Um and then Moira, it's I, the fact that she said, like they have to listen to you, you're June. And it's like, what in what world? Where do you live? Where they listen to women every time she's had to make something happen, she had to take power. No one was giving that to her freely. So it's kind of naive for her to even make that statement. Like you're, you know, June Osborne. Um, I hate that we didn't see what is to come of Serena. So I will say this. As much as I have been saying throughout this whole time, this whole episode, that that is Tuello's kid, I'm gonna roll back on that and I'm gonna say that it is Fred's kid. So I think what we will see in the time jump is Tuello kind of like coming to her defense and trying to kind of move in on her and claim Fred's baby for himself, like his friend, his wife and his kid. Like, you know, I think that's what we'll see. So I don't think it's you know genetically his baby, but it's going to be his baby. That is my thought process right now with all of that. Um, Nick, as much as I was holding out hope for June and Luke to have that reunion, and then they had the reunion, and then everything. Um, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are right. Like, maybe they just can't ever get that back because, and it's not like not because he didn't fight for her, but because he never experienced that world. I mean, yes, he is a refugee. He was shot and kicked out, but he never got to experience Gilead. And so, right or wrong side of the fence, like Nick understands Gilead. He understands Gilead. So I think that is a part of why they just mesh better than Luke. And I hate to say that. I hate to say that because I love Luke. I love Luke so much for her. That's Hannah's daddy. So yeah, I guess Luke and Moore are about to be raising Nicole again. Um, so I guess that's like that's where we are. So it's interesting because I thought all season that she was going to end up back in Gilead, and maybe she might, like maybe she might get caught and they might extradite her to Gilead, and then that would be like her way of um getting Hannah. Like maybe they're going to send her back once they find out that she had a hand in killing Fred. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't even know exactly where to process everything that has happened. Um, that has happened in this episode. Like I just really don't know what to think and what to say. I'm gonna read a couple of um, messages on Twitter that I'm seeing. Someone said Joseph was right; it wasn't enough. Someone said I have been Team Luke all season, but now I'm totally Team Nick. Why did June have to leave Nicole? I mean, I think she knows like Luke is not going to want to be with her. Like let her be there in the house. He's not going to trust her. And it didn't help that she didn't go in the house and wash the blood off. Like she went straight in with her bloody body. Like didn't even try to get all of that off. So I don't understand. Um Something is going to have to happen aside from Fred's death to bring Serena down to reality because the entitlement astounds me. It astounds me making demands we're gonna need a house, we're gonna need security. Girl, you better be glad you get more than a loaf of bread, okay? Like, and some milk. Um, who am I forgetting? Rita. I mean, Rita is getting therapy, so there's no need to really continue to drag Rita, I don't think, into this. I kind of was hoping she was going to play a bigger part in how everything went down, but or that at least we would see her like running and like find out that she's running an orphanage for the children of Gilead who got displaced or something like that, just to kind of give her some meaning to her life. Um, with the way that Moira was in this episode, it's like she definitely protests too much. Like she talks a big game about all the closure that she's gotten, but she really hasn't. And she was really depending upon June getting the closure and the justice that she felt like she could not get. And it what's kind of discomforting about that, seeing that, is she did that and was doing that, but was also kind of admonishing June for her legitimate feelings and not kind of helping her to really like process or see how she was feeling. So, you know, forget him. But then she's like, no, you have to go to Geneva and you have to speak and it's going to, make a difference. Um, what I'm wondering now is, one, how much Tuello knows and is protecting June in regards to Fred. And if he is protecting her, then great, she's solid. Let's say he's not, and they come for her, like that's part of why she has to leave Nicole. Shouldn't the 86 children and then the 22 women buy her some immunity? Like, you're willing to give Fred all of this immunity, but she just saved over 100 people. Like, I feel like that should buy her some immunity. Um, so I think the next steps really are just to kind of go back through the seasons and kind of figure out what are the unanswered questions, because there's at least one full season. And at this game, it really kind of is an end game of getting Hannah and getting justice against Serena. Um, I would imagine that if Serena doesn't end up with Tuello, that we're going to see her rising back into like this heralding voice of Gilead in order to kind of save herself. She's going to save herself, right? So seeing her kind of rise up in that same way that she was before Gilead ever became a thing, and then June trying to take her down that way. But I don't know. I mean, it's like, yes, this was a finale. Like, Justice Fred is 86. Um, and it's not like there's a lot of loose ends, because really the only loose ends are Serena and Hannah at this point. Like, if June doesn't end up with anyone, June doesn't end up with anyone. If they don't bring down Gilead and Nick stays in Gilead and he continues to kind of work the inner system and do things on that side, hey, Nick might be an old man and get a spinoff in the Testaments or something. I don't know. But it I'm wondering now what they're going to do in terms of next season to get the 10 episodes, and assuming that next season is it. I would wager that next season is it. And the fact that we got our finale and we did not see any of Janine, Esther, or Aunt Lydia, that's also saying a lot. That is also saying a lot. And so perhaps by having June take this action and go through that look with Luke where like she's gonna leave and he's gonna basically kick her out the house and be raising Nicole, maybe we're going to get more time in Gilead, focusing in on Janine and Esther and their role in the resistance. But I think that's definitely setting up for perhaps a spinoff with the Testaments. And I'm really thinking that that's what we're going to get is a spinoff for the Testaments after next season. I think that's really what the whole Janine, Esther, Aunt Lydia storyline is queuing up. And even Nick, because Nick would be their inside man. And they could still use Commander Lawrence in some aspect for that if they wanted to. Um, so I think really at this point now, it's just what is she going to do to Serena? That is what we are waiting on. I'm I was shocked to see how all of that played out. Um, again, I'm glad that she got her revenge against Fred, and I am sad that it had to happen at her hands in that way, but it was kind of a poetic justice moment and so many callbacks to season one in this episode. So many callbacks, and really a lot of callbacks to season one throughout this particular season, more than the other seasons. So, um, hats off to the whole team, Bruce, Lizzie. Um, what are we gonna do for a whole year while wait for a new season? I don't know. So let me know in the comments if you're watching this on the replay. Let me know in the comments what you thought about tonight's episode, and I will see you guys later. All right. Have a good night. Toodles.